Hey, good morning, everyone, in one of my Mount Wachusett Community College online classes. I'm Jim Korman. I thought I'd put up a quick introductory video so you get a little sense of who I am and what the expectations might be for universality, if you will, through all the classes that I teach. I teach legal studies, I teach political science, and I teach history at the Mount. I've been there for 25 years. I'm the department chair of those three areas. And I know what it's like taking an online class, and it creates some degree of, I think, anxiety for students. It does for me when I take a class online, not really having that ability to know what the instructor's like or what their expectations are just from the syllabus and maybe from the written assignments and things of that nature. There's a bit of a disconnect. So I wanted to put up a little bit of an introduction so you get a little bit of a sense more of what I'm all about and what I expect from you, and the fact that I really do want you to be able to feel you can reach out to me with a degree of comfort and with ease, because I'm very informal. I look formal right now because I'm actually just got out of court and I'm waiting to meet a colleague at his law office, and I'm in his conference room. But I am very informal. I want students to have a strong degree of comfort in the course work and the progression of the course, and to feel they can reach out at any time to ask questions or seek clarification when there is some potential issue with the class. Some of you have had me for classes in the past. Some of you had me in a traditional brick and mortar class right on campus at Mount Wachusett Community College in Gardner, and so you have some degree of knowledge of who I am and what my expectations are, and you probably wouldn't hesitate to contact me because you have some degree of familiarity. So for those of you that are new to me, I'm Jim Korman. I've been at the Mount again for 25 years. My background, just briefly, I have a law degree. I'm a practicing attorney. I've been practicing now for 34 years. I only do criminal defense work now, but at one time I was a general practitioner, did a wide variety of types of legal representation. Now I only do criminal defense work, kind of part-time because I'm full-time at the Mount, and I also teach adjunct courses as well. I live in Brimfield, Mass. Those of you that are curious, like a little background and a sense of who I am, which is about almost 50 miles from the Gardner campus, but I really do enjoy teaching, and it's always been a passion of mine and a goal of mine to teach at the community college. And so in some respects, dreams have come true, and the commute isn't that bad because it's doing something I'm really passionate about and really like. I have 7 kids. My wife's also an attorney. My kids range in age from 30 to 20, and we have 2 dogs, and I think I heard a cat in the basement last night, so I think one of my daughters brought home a cat, so now we have a cat again. I'm a community college graduate myself, so I know the trials and tribulations of what it's like to be a student at a community college, because sometimes it's a little different. It's oftentimes a situation where you didn't think you were going to go to college, or maybe you're starting college a little later after trying out a career or different things of that nature, and you're starting a little later than a traditional right out of high school. Some of you are high school students, and you're in a dual enrollment program. So we have quite a diverse type of student body. I know when I went to community college, it was actually a failure for me the first time I started out because I didn't think I was college material. I thought I was going to be a plumber. My father was a plumber. My grandfather was a plumber. And I was taking 5 classes all on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and I just didn't feel a strong degree of comfort at the college. I ended up dropping out at my first semester, and it's something I regretted deeply. And I went back. For many of you, if you do drop out, it may not be something where you're going to be comfortable going back and trying to restart. And so I want to assure you that I'm here to help you through the process. So if you do find that the community college or the Mount isn't for you, I urge you to try to finish out the semester if possible, and I'll certainly work with you to make it happen. And that's the reason for this video. I want you to feel comfortable reaching out, email, call me. I give my cell phone number. I'll say it now, but it'll be on my syllabus. It's 508-612-9278. It's my business line. Don't be afraid to give me a call. Not always good at picking up right at the moment because I can be very busy, but I do get back to you as quickly as I can, and same with emails. And that brings up a very important point. I often get inundated with emails, and sometimes I'll see an email from you, and you'll say something like, I was writing the essay, and I hit launch before I wanted to put some closing, a paragraph on there, and it's incomplete. What can I do to fix it? and I'll see it and I'll say, oh, that's not a problem, I can take care of that. And in the meantime, you're still sitting at home worried about what to do, and you're going to have a terrible grade on the paper as a result of it. And I may never actually technically respond to you. I might just reset the application in Blackboard so you can resubmit or something of that nature. Or I'm going to get to it in a day or two, but I failed to let you know. And that's a failing on my part, and that's why I put this video up, because I want you to be able to say, hey, Jim, I emailed you 2 days ago, I haven't heard from you. Don't be afraid to follow up. Don't ever be afraid to think or feel that you're being a pest or a nuisance or anything like that. I'm getting paid to be a facilitator or an instructor at the college. I want you to reach out when there's ever any kind of concern whatsoever. In terms of class structure, well, it's asynchronous. We're online. Meaning asynchronous means you don't have to be on at any specific schedule. And I do get that from a lot of students. They'll say, what time are we meeting? What time is the class? The class is such that you go on to Blackboard and you'll see assignments and videos and lectures and articles and obligations on your end to complete within a certain time frame. But it's done at your, I don't want to say at your leisure, but at your opportunity during maybe a 3-day window or a week-long window to get an assignment done or to submit a response to a question or to read an article and make comments on it, whatever the assignment is. I try to be consistent. I can't always guarantee that's going to be true, but generally speaking, I try to make assignments due on Sunday nights at midnight. Now, I have had some students get upset and say, Sundays are important to me, my family, and things of that nature, and I don't want to do work on Sunday. You don't have to. Usually there'd be a 5, maybe a 3-day window, maybe a full week window. You could do it in any day of the week you want. It's just that there's a deadline, an end point where we really want to get all the assignments in so I get feedback to you before maybe you have to take a quiz or a test or an assessment on that material. If you do see something that seems awry, meaning like, geez, Jim usually does everything on Sunday night, and all of a sudden there's this assignment due on Tuesday afternoon, and it seems to have a weird date on it. It could be an error on my end or an error because of Blackboard. I'd like to think it's always Blackboard, but it's often my error as well, because sometimes I'll have an assignment that I consider to be a plum assignment, like really well crafted from an author, or maybe something I actually crafted previously, and I've used it in a previous Blackboard iteration. In the copying and placing of that material in Blackboard might show an old date or a date that's just from a different semester. Contact me, let me know. I want you to work with me to make me a better professor, to be able to clean up those kinds of dates. If issues come up where you simply blew off an assignment, you didn't realize there was an assignment done midweek because we had to get through 15 chapters in a 14-week semester or something like that, and so we had to double up on an assignment or had to give one midweek, and you missed it, just let me know. I'll work with you. And if you have emergencies in your family or other issues where you have internet connectivity problems when you were going to submit your assignment on the last day of the opportunity, and now you're going to be late and you're worried about getting a 0 or something like that. If you reach out and talk to me, I can usually make reasonable accommodations, and I want to work with you at all times during the course of the semester. And again, I know that anxiety of not really having classmates. You're online. You're not going to develop the same kind of rapport you would be able to do if you were on campus. And don't let that make you feel isolated and alone. Being on campus sometimes makes students feel just as isolated and alone as well. But it's nice to hopefully put a face to a name. You know who I am, and you're going to be hopefully comfortable reaching out to me. Community college, I spent 4 years at it. The year I dropped out, which was very regrettable, but I managed to have almost enough anxiety over dropping out to force myself to go back, and eventually I got some traction. After 4 years, I received my associate's degree in criminal justice. I never wanted to be a police officer or anything like that, but I did have a lot of interest in case law and Supreme Court decisions about search and seizure and things like that. It was the most related I could find to history and political science that they had at Springfield Technical Community College. I grew up in Western Mass out in Springfield. And after graduating from there, I went to Springfield College and got a bachelor's degree in history. But in the meantime, I would take classes at UMass, at UConn, jumping all over the place. But I eventually got my history degree from Springfield College. And then I went to Western New England Law School, also in Springfield, because I was living with my parents, and I'm one of the few people that are brave enough to admit I liked living with my parents. I thought it was a great choice in my younger days. And so I got my law degree in 1992 and passed the bar and became a practicing attorney. Always wanting to teach, though, and the opportunity came up, I think it was in 2001 or 2002, where I started teaching part-time at the Mount, and it turned into a full-time job. After I was teaching at the Mount for a period of time, because my passion was always in history and political science, I decided to go back and get a master's degree in history at Worcester State College. Now, some of you can say, this guy is, he's a nerd, and I am a nerd, and I'm into all this kind of stuff, but I'm just an average, everyday guy that just kept going to college and plugging away at it, and I suffer from the same anxiety and fear of failure that many of you might have. And I just want you to know that you have an ally in me, and I want you to be able to reach out to me and ask questions or raise concerns as we go forward. I do tend to miss things up, or maybe I put up an assignment and it's blank, or I tell you, there's something missing for that next week. I want you to raise alarms and things like that so we can have the smoothest and clearest semester as possible. And if we find a problem early, we can usually remedy it earlier and make the semester that much clearer. Other than that, again, I'm very informal. And your success is my success. So I always love it when I hear about students not only doing well in the individual class, but as the whole Mount experience, and then transferring to another college or finding a career somewhere in the legal field as a paralegal or a legal assistant or things like that. And in fact, I was in court today, and one of the court interpreters there is a Mount graduate and actually has a law degree now, and he's taking the bar exam. I think this winter, and to become a practicing attorney is his goal. He wants to work in immigration law. But he started them out, and that's always just an exciting feeling when students have success. So I want you to be successful, even if it's just for my own ego, to know you've done well and you've learned something beneficial. And some of you are in classes because you have to be there. I get it. They fit your requirement from some other goal that's completely irrelevant to seeming to having a seeming relationship to the class you're actually enrolled in, but for some reason it's required to get some credit hours in humanities or in history or political science or something like that. That doesn't mean you shouldn't enjoy it, and you hopefully can get something beneficial from it during the process. So that's my little welcome spiel, if you will. Hopefully you feel like you're a little bit more comfortable reaching out and letting me know that there's issues or questions you have. And I know there's issues that sometimes come up during the course of the semester, like during some week I'm going with my family to Disney or something like that. I won't be able to get the assignment done. That's why I usually put up assignments maybe 2 weeks out. You're not going to see the whole course, because I've had students pretty much try to complete the whole course in like a 2 or 3 week period. I don't like that. So I usually have 2 or 3 weeks out where you can get in advance, you can go ahead. But even still, even with that, there might be issues coming up where all of a sudden you have either a family emergency or something planned where you won't be able to take a test during a scheduled time or something like that. We can always work around it. Don't be afraid to ask for an accommodation and work through those things. Other than that, please, there's no such thing as a dumb question. I really believe that. Every so often I always see that. I even see that in court sometimes, where there's this sort of glaring issue that I don't know how to address, and I've learned, because I just gotten old, that sometimes I'll ask the question and everyone will look around and say, geez, that's a good question. And then we figure it out, and that way we don't step into a problem moving forward. And sometimes questions are shared by many students and no one asks. And there is no such thing as a dumb question. I really mean that. Feel comfortable, reach out, say hello, and again, I'm here to help you in your journey, and I do make mistakes, so you'll see things from time to time, and you'll say, I don't understand. He says he wants us to read this article, and there's nothing there, or he has this link, and the link is broken. It doesn't go to the video on YouTube anymore, or it doesn't open up that article that he supposedly wants us to read. I get it, and we'll fix it, but you got to let me know. And letting me know doesn't irritate me at all. It actually makes me happy, because I want to make a better product on my end too. Otherwise, welcome to the Mount. Welcome to one of my classes. And I hope to see you soon. Oh, by the way, just for a fun note, there will be some field trips this semester and in future semesters. And I know you're online. You may not have that kind of scheduling because of whatever it is, kids work, who knows what your obligations are, and you won't be able to participate in those. Those are not obligatory. They're going to be completely voluntary. And but if you can make it, you're certainly welcome to come along. And I'll put an announcement out way in advance, whether it's just at the Gardner District Court to watch a day with Judge Goldstein, or if it's going to be to the Massachusetts State House or some other area of interest that we might be able to tap into. And I even welcome students' ideas in that regard if they think there's a good opportunity to go on a field trip during the course of the semester. Can't guarantee it, but we'll see what we can do. And the other is there is a legal studies group that's starting back up. We had different names for it in the past because people want to focus more on political science or history, but it's just the easiest name is the Legal Studies Group for people who have some interest in that. We have to do some fundraisers, some civic engagement on some level, but we try to do things like go see speakers or have speakers come to the Mount and participate in other ways. And one of the things that's kind of nice about the club is if you participate in the club and we do one of the trips, sometimes we can use funds from our club's funds, which usually aren't huge, but we have enough where we can buy like a nice lunch and pay for travel expenses and admissions if it happens to be to a place that charges. Otherwise, I went way too long. Those of you that know me from in-person classes, I could talk all day. So I guess that's what they pay me for. Anyways, welcome aboard, and I hope you have a great semester. And it may be some of you I'll see because you'll be in the in-person classes too. Otherwise, online. Oh, that's another good point. If you are going to email me, text me, or write me, always put which class you're in. You know, hey, Jane Doe from political science, or Jane Doe from intro to law. That way, if you're saying you're having issue because you try to submit something and it didn't attach and you want me to reset it or something like that, I don't have to hunt for your name in the roster and then figure out which class you're in. It's nothing impersonal. I don't mean to be offensive, but it's hard online putting names to faces and which classes you're in. And I won't see your faces at all, I don't think. And so that's going to be a challenge. So if you do email me or text me, just say, Jane Doe, intro to law, fall semester, spring semester, what year it is, whatever it is, and that way I can track you down in Blackboard much quicker to resolve the problem. Otherwise, again, thanks again.